we take it as a Malaysian idea. The poor and the marginalized, Malay, Chinese, Indians, Tibets, Canada, must be assisted. That's number one. Number two, the new economic policy now is benefiting who? If you ask the Malays now. Forbes study, the richest of the Malays, 3 billions were the top 3. Siapa? Anak Dr. Mahathir, brother of Najib, and Transit Sektor. I mean, what are the rest? The other Malays are idiots. Why can't you allow others to also give the benefit and then share with the poorer, marginalized Chinese, Indians, Tibetans, Canada? This is important. And I would appeal to Malays, Chinese, Indians here, when you articulate this issue, be mindful of the fact that your audience are not only Chinese, or your audience are not only Malays or Indians. Now, brain drain, I think that was Tian or something. Petra, because he's also one of the trains. The issue of Pakatan Rakyat, which I've asked now Tian to elaborate. Be mindful of this fact. I've heard this before. To me, it's nonsensical to assume that Pakatan Rakyat government are just like the other states. What do you mean? Every single facility, 1,000 ringgit for every poor student in Islam. Free water. You don't categorize Melayu ke China ke India for the first time in 50 years. Yeah. Why is that not considered a Malaysian event? 2,500 mati. Melayu mati, Hindu mati, China mati, 2,500. Oh no, that's different. That's different. Why? Why can't this be stated as a major change? Is this not a major departure from a race-based politics and economic policy? Yes. Why is this not? Therefore, I take serious objection to a group of people who just try to hurt the pure racist line. It's dangerous. Mind you, we are not going to win. You fight based on racist line because our main battle is against the racist UMNO. It has to go to the What about legitimate grievances of the Malays, legitimate grievances of the Indians and the Chinese? We have to hear. We have to listen. We have to deal with it. You mean to say 50 years of such policy can be dismantled in 1 or 2 years? No. But can you suggest at the same time that we inherit the same thing? Because Indian leaders in Keadilan, or Rama and DAP is not talking as if like some of the other Indian leaders, they are all like coolies or mandos. What sort of policy? You mean you forget the fact that everything is being said is also being read by the Malays and the Chinese and the Tibetans and the Canada. Let that thing be said. We have a problem, yes, we deal with it. For the first time, 50 years, no allocation for Tamil schools. Selangor, after 1 year, 4 million ringgit allocation to Tamil schools. Is this enough? No. But do you compare this to UMNO? There is gross injustice and misrepresentation of facts. Now we talk about land. Land for temples, approval, given. Land for schools, private schools, Chinese or Tamil has not been awarded. Or, not at all, but it's given in stages. Because you start giving everything. Education is a federal thing. You must remember. And it's we don't care. You have the money, do it. We can't. Why do we then just take over and spend money, which is supposed to be the responsibility of the federal government? So we have to really negotiate it. But if it means, for example, rural development in Egypt, Indians, after 50 years of independence, do not have water. Do we wait for a federal project? No. We give them free water. But I am disappointed because some of the rhetoric is so racist, which is just like the other Pesaka. Perkasa. I don't want to bother to remember. I'm very passionate, very strong, because we will have to change. We can change by changing our mindset. For people, people call me, friends call me anti-Christian, because a Muslim leader happens to be leading in Sabah. they forget the fact that I appointed formerly the leader of Sabah, Ka'adina, was a Muslim. Now is Barbarian, Christian, Daya, Sarawak, for Sarawak. But you know, this story is still there. So which means it takes a lot of effort. We have to deal. You must also remember these Malays and Muslims are also very bitter. Bitter why? Every time they hear Chinese, semua Melayu dapat. Ni Melayu, Melayu. Dia Melayu miskin. Melayu mana yang dapat? So you know, you are sometimes you're not careful about these nuances. You just say Malay, and you go to, you know, Kuala Krai by election. I remember also with Guan King. Guan King was shocked that this tribe of this rural Malays so poor, so marginalized, and ignored by the federal government. So we need leaders, Malays, Chinese, Indians, Tibans, Kazakh, to speak on our behalf. And this is important. Now I choose to be very frank and honest because I trust the wisdom of the process. In the final analysis, we need to change. Mind you, it's not easy. No? We are dealing with a repressive government. Every single issue will be twisted. I was in Jakarta last week because a group of Jakarta political leaders, intellectuals, want me to help reduce the tension so that Indonesia is not too angry against Malaysia. No burning of flags or throwing pieces to the embassy. So I went. But my interest was to forge this, you know, good comradeship, good relations. So I said, we can't be arrogant. You know, we battle over what? Lagu rasa sayang ini. The lagu rasa sayang, I said, I grew up as a Malay in my kampung. Rasa sayang, I think it's a Malay song. It's my song. Rasa sayang, I thought my song. Now I realize, after studying, dia origin dia Indonesia, Tamil Nadu. So I would say, no, it's Malay song, but I know your origin Indonesia. They're happy, yeah? And you know how our minister is? We don't care. This is a Malay song. Bodoh. Actually, historically, culturally, it's incorrect. So why can't you say, it's a Malay song, but I know originally Minado or somewhere in Indonesia. Thank you very much. It's our song. Dia buat sudahlah. But what happened? Utusan TV3 every day, Anwar, mengecam. So even my old friend, Deputy Prime Minister said, Anwar has committed a major sin. This is where you become an ayatollah. Okay. So thank you very much. I'll have to leave now, and Tian and Petra.
I think I just quickly settle into the issues of brainwave. I think the issues now, what the government is basically barking on the wrong side. You know, trying to say, you come back, you can bring how many Mercedes, trying to come back, you're going to get this exemption, that exemption. The issues is that, again and again, the authority fail to understand how do we get certified from our jobs? How do we get feeling comfortable when we are in a place? The issues of human dignity was never discussed and never addressed. I think that's why we go back to the issues. How do we want to address brain drain? Besides trying to give more material rewards, we also have to address the issues of all this expertise, all these people who has professions. They come back, do they get the place to do what they want and to be able to be recognized? I think that fundamental has to be resolved before we can actually start to talk about a reversal of people returning to Malaysia. I want to take on just one of the issues of the so-called Indian questions. I think we are moving. One major thing is moving away to start having sectoral distributions of justice. We can't say that we give Malay so much, we give Chinese so much, and we give Indian so much. We are starting to move into who need the most. Why do we give to Indian temple land? Because a lot of places have not been able to recognize and they are not allowed. So the Malay complain, they say why we give Indian more proportionally to the population. We're not going by that. We're going by needs. And then this is definitely not easy. Even if you hear now what happened in New York, practicing democracy for hundreds of years, want to set out a Muslim center, it becomes a problem. What's the argument? The argument, New Yorkers, 90% Christians. And why should we give a piece of land to Muslims who are less than 5% of New Yorkers use? Hardly 100 people go to prayer in there. But this is something that we translate back to Shah Alam. When Pakatan Rakyat say move the temple, the Hindu temple, into a 90% neighborhoods of Muslim. We have UMNO running around trying to demonstrate with cowhead against our policies. But how do we do it? We still have to be brave and we still have to face it. And we have to tell the Muslim, if you think that in New York, the minority Muslim has a right to have an Islamic center, we should also recognize that Hindu has a right to set out their temple, even though the area is a 90% Muslim area. But is it easy to convince people? I would say not easy. Are we going to take risks? Yes, we might take risks, we might lose the seats. But as a government of Selangor, we have to do it because we're government. We're not as some people describe, we still think in the mindset of opposition. I mean, it's not, because I don't know what is the mindset of opposition mean, but anyway, I think it is to be able to fulfill the mandates that we are being assigned to, and we have to do it. We have to try our best. Lastly, I want to raise, there's people very concerned about the security issues. We are aware there is a possibility that UMNO will use this to create havoc and to declare military rules and so on. We are aware of that. There's probably a plan, and there's probably who is going to stop in which door and who is going to be arrested. All these things are there. But one thing for sure, I'm going to tell you here that there's no way whatever we plan can stop this except by the power of the people. I don't believe nowadays UMNO can mobilize the crowd to create havoc. Look at what happened. ISA, we can bring 20,000 people on the street in a matter of 5 days. UMNO has the same time to prepare. They can't bring 200 people on the street, and they pay. They're trying to mobilize the cowhead demonstration. 50 people turn up. If UMNO have the ability, I will say they will bring 20,000 people to oppose the mosque and to oppose the Hindu temple. But they can't, because majority of the Malay do not believe UMNO agenda is for their goods. I think that's the key that we are holding. We are not, no way I and Petra can sit down 3 days, 3 nights trying to plot, trying to make sure that UMNO don't use this. There's no use. Ultimately, going back, I believe millions, thousands of Malay, they don't agree with UMNO agenda, and they're not going to die for UMNO. And I don't think they're going to run around the streets, burning down houses and risk themselves to be gunned down by policemen or whatever. So because of that, I'm very confident. Next election, we win, UMNO will be isolated, and they have to hand over power. And at the most, if anyone like, give them the jet plane, they can fly to any place they want to live the rest of their life. Thank you very much.